Hey everyone, buckle up because we are diving into a story, a real life story that's more unsettling than any fiction. Think 1970s, the heart of the dating game, and a discovery that shook America. Imagine the charming bachelor who just stole hearts on live TV. Turns out he might be a serial killer.
Wow.
That's the unbelievable true story we're uncovering today, and our guide, the film Woman of the Hour. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's paint a picture for those who might not remember the dating game.
Right.
Imagine primetime television, families huddled around the TV, a sparkling set, a bachelorette hidden from view, ready to grill three bachelors. The goal, love, laughter, the whole romantic shebang. It was lighthearted, wildly popular. So you can picture the collective jaw drop when one charming bachelor ends up a suspect in multiple murders.
Can't say I've ever heard of that happening.
What's even more disturbing, this wasn't some isolated incident. This killer, he apparently operated for years.
Years.
Yeah, years. And that speaks volumes, don't you think?
Absolutely. To operate undetected for years. I mean, that suggests a frightening level of premeditation. And this ability to blend in, to appear normal, it sends chills down your spine.
It really does. And to think, a serial killer using the dating game as part of their, I don't even know what to call it.
It's almost unfathomable.
It challenges everything we think we know about serial killers.
It does. We imagine them lurking in the shadows, not charming their way onto a game show.
Right.
It makes you question, what's going on in their minds? How can someone be so charming, so put together, but harbor such darkness? Could this point to a specific psychological profile?
It's possible, right?
It is. Think about it. Individuals who can compartmentalize to that degree present a carefully crafted persona, all while hiding their true nature. They often exhibit narcissistic traits, antisocial tendencies. It's a fascinating area of study.
And the women he interacted with, both on and off the show, it seems they were the ones who first sensed something was wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you make of that?
That's huge. Don't forget, this was the 1970s.
Right.
Back then, women were often told to stay quiet, to not question a man's behavior.
You're absolutely right. It takes guts to do that, to speak up, especially back then.
Absolutely. Talk about strength. But it also makes you wonder about the dating game back then, you know? Did they just like wave people on, no background checks, nothing?
Right. You'd think a show about finding love, they'd at least, check to see if someone's got a secret life or something.
Exactly. And to think someone like that could just slip through. It shows you appearances can be deceiving.
Big time. So, about those women, the ones who sensed something was off, what kind of, what kind of red flags might someone like that give off? What sets off alarm bells?
Oh man, that's the thing, isn't it? People like that, they can be so good at putting on this act. They can be charming, but underneath there's this need for control. They might cross lines, make you question your own memory,
Yeah.
Exactly. Or contradict themselves and not even realize it.
Yeah.
It's like little things, but they add up.
And on a show like The Dating Game, everything's so quick, so surface level.
Exactly. Those red flags, they could be easily missed, just written off as nerves or whatever.
Especially back then. Speaking up against a man, especially a so-called catch, it was different then.
Totally.
Makes you wonder if those women, if they told anyone, or if they felt like they couldn't.
Oh, that's a tough thought.
It is.
You've got the psychology of this guy, right? You've got the way society was back then, and then you throw in something like the dating game, this public spectacle.
Wow.
It's like a recipe for disaster when you
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. It's like this reminder that this stuff, it doesn't just happen in dark alleys. It can happen anywhere. Even when
Right.
the cameras are rolling, everyone's smiling.
Exactly.
It makes you think, how do you square that? On the one hand, you've got this fun, lighthearted game show, and on the other, this darkness.
It's jarring, to say the least.
It's like the show was a facade and no one even knew it.
And that's the power of film, of storytelling. It can peel back those layers, make us face things we might not want to see.
That's true. Woman of the Hour, it's not just a thriller, it's like a time capsule too.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the time, the culture, what we valued, what we ignored. It's amazing, isn't it? How this case, it takes something like a dating show and shows you there's this whole other side.
It is.
But when you really think about it, this is a story about those women.
Absolutely.
Their experiences, especially back then in the 70s, it's something we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
Imagine that, right? A time when women weren't always encouraged to speak their minds. And yet they were the ones who said, hold on, something's not right here.
They were up against so much,
Yeah.
societal norms, a system that might not believe them.
Right.
It's incredible.
It really shows the importance of trusting your gut, even when, I don't know, when it feels like you shouldn't.
100%.
These women, they sensed something was off in a situation that was supposed to be, fun and flirty. That's powerful.
It's incredible when you think about it. Back then, it wasn't like today. They couldn't just, look this guy up online.
Right.
Their suspicions, it was all based on what they saw, what they felt.
Their gut feeling,
Exactly.
which makes their story even more important today.
How so?
Well, think about it. Social media, dating apps, everyone's got this curated persona.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in that. So knowing when something feels wrong, even if you can't explain it, that's more important than ever.
Absolutely. This case, it's like a crash course in that.
Right.
Evil doesn't always show up in a dark cloak. It can
Yeah.
be charming, you can blend in.
Like on the dating game.
Exactly.
And Woman of the Hour, it seems like they get that. They're not just retelling the story. They're letting those women, their experiences, be front and center.
And that's important. Every story has different sides. And sometimes the most important voices are the ones we don't hear.
That's a really good point. Wow, this deep dive, it's been quite the ride, hasn't it?
It has.
From the glitz and glamour of the dating game to, well, the dark side of it all. We've talked about society, psychology, the bravery of those women who spoke up.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. And as we wrap up, it makes you wonder how many other stories are out there hidden in plain sight? How many voices are still waiting to be heard?
That's a powerful thought.
It is. And there's one thing listeners take away from this. I hope it's this.
Yeah.
Look beyond the surface. Question things. And never, ever be afraid to trust your gut.
Well said.
You never know what might be lurking beneath the surface. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another look at the strange and unsettling side of history.